A college girl is sitting in class when she receives a message asking how she's getting home. She replies that she plans to take the bus, but the person texts again, asking why she doesn't check the ride board. After class, she goes to the bulletin board and sees a note offering a ride to Delaware on the 23rd of December. She decides not to take the bus anymore. She walks to the parking lot and finds a guy sleeping in his car. She gets frustrated when she realizes he parked far from the entrance. The trunk is too full for her luggage, but she manages to squeeze her suitcase inside. As she tries to get into the car, he tells her the door sometimes gets stuck, but then opens it for her, and they begin their trip. Along the way, the girl talks to her friend on the phone, but the guy seems annoyed. She tells her friend she's bored and still has 5 hours to go. She snaps a photo of him and asks why he looks frustrated. He replies that, according to road trip rules, the passenger should talk to the driver to keep things lively. She's not really in the mood, but still asks him what school he went to. He says he attended a Catholic all-boys school but now studies at the same college as her. She doesn't remember him, saying the class had too many people. He explains which year it was, and they continue chatting. He asks why she chose to major in philosophy. She admits it seemed easier to get into, though she really wanted to be an engineer. The guy starts telling a boring story about philosophy, and she decides to end the conversation. She plays some music and they continue driving. While painting her nails, she says she needs to use the bathroom. He tells her not to worry, there's a local gas station just ahead. They arrive at a gas station and stop the car. He reminds her she needed the bathroom, but she says she can't get out, her nail polish hasn't dried yet. He offers to help and takes her into the store. Inside, she asks the clerk for the bathroom, and he points to it. She goes in and does what she needs to, but afterward, the door won't open. She calls for help, but no one comes. Eventually, she hears the guy's voice and tells him she's trapped inside. After a few tries, she finally manages to get the door open. She asks why he didn't respond when she was calling, but he says he didn't hear her. The store clerk reminds the guy that he needs to take the highway. He assures her it's no problem. He's driven that route a million times. They leave the store. He sees a highway sign but suddenly veers off the road. The girl asks why he did that, and if it was supposed to be some kind of joke. She begins to panic and tells him to get back on the main road. He reassures her, saying it's just a nice shortcut. They pass some crosses in the snow and continue deeper into the woods. He puts on a Christmas song and starts talking about his holiday traditions with his parents. The girl mentions she actually celebrates Christmas twice, once with her dad and once with her mom, who split up when she was still a freshman. As they talk, he begins to think she's acting a little odd and they start arguing. Just then, another car appears, coming from the opposite direction. Its headlights are blinding, and they nearly crash head-on, but he swerves just in time. Still, the impact is hard, and they both pass out. Some time later, the girl wakes up. She quietly takes a knife from her bag and gets out of the car. She tries to call her friend, but suddenly the guy appears behind her, startling her. He asks what she's doing, and she says she's calling for help but has no signal. She asks to use his phone, but he says he doesn't have one. Concerned, she asks if he's okay. He replies that he just hit his head a bit hard. They talk about the other car, but she thinks the driver must have left. The guy points out there are no tire tracks in the snow. He tries calling for help, but no one responds. Then he says they should return to the car and try to get out of there. While looking around, he finds some gravestones. Meanwhile, the girl sits in the driver's seat while he tries pushing the car, but it's stuck in a snowbank. She locks the doors and starts blaming him, saying everything is his fault, that he doesn't even live near her, and he's acting like a maniac. They argue. He insists it's not his fault and that he's not crazy. He says he's going back to the gas station for help and asks her to come, but she's too scared and decides to stay. He leaves and takes a shortcut through the woods. Back in the car, the girl finds some tape and tries to seal the window. Suddenly, she sees a man walking in the snow. She gets out and calls for help, but he ignores her and disappears into the woods. She starts to panic, telling herself to stay calm. The guy returns and tells her to get back in the car. The gas station is closed. She finds it suspicious and questions why, since it should be open 24 hours. He says he doesn't know what's going on. Time passes. She looks at the car's clock and sees it has stopped. He says it's broken. She then points out that he's bleeding, but he brushes it off, saying it's nothing. She asks who he really is. He claims he's just a regular student who lives on the other side of town and wanted to give a ride to a pretty girl. He reveals he overheard from her friends where she lived and what she used to do. She asks how he knew she'd need a ride. It turns out, during class, he noticed a message pop up on her phone and realized it was his chance to talk to her. As the truth comes out, the girl begins to calm down. The guy suggests they eat something, but she realizes she left her bag of food in the parking lot. He then remembers he had a chocolate bar under the seat. While searching for it, he suddenly starts yelling, but then admits it was just a joke. They continue arguing and insulting each other. Suddenly, The car's engine makes a strange noise and dies. The girl grabs a flashlight and checks under the car, only to find all the gas is leaked out. The temperature begins to drop quickly. The guy takes the girl's things and tries to offer her some clothes, but of course, there's nothing warm enough in her bag. She admits she wasn't prepared to get stuck in a snowbank. As the temperature drops, they begin to freeze. He suggests that human warmth can help, but she disagrees. After a while, she says she needs to pee. She gets out of the car and walks behind it. When she's done, she's startled by the sight of 3 priests walking past her. One of them looks at her, but continues walking. She runs back to the car and tells the guy what she saw. They both rush after the figures, calling out for help. They stop and she begins panicking, suggesting they go back to the car since the people noticed her and still didn't stop. She returns, but the guy continues following them. Soon after, he starts coughing and notices blood. He pushes forward and finds an old abandoned house. Inside, he picks up an old newspaper and walks further in, only to find a pile of frozen bodies. He's horrified and runs back out, but when he turns to look again, the bodies have disappeared. Meanwhile, the girl sees a man on the road. She gets out and asks for help. The man begs an unseen officer not to throw him into the water. Desperate, she chases after him and notices a wire tied around his legs. She asks who did that, but he continues mumbling and she can't understand. As she moves closer and tries to touch him, she gets burned. Then he turns around, revealing a snake coming out of his mouth. Shocked, she backs away and bumps into 2 bloodied men. The guy finds her lying on the ground and asks what happened. She tells him there was a man with something strange on his face. He takes her back to the car and they cover the windows with a newspaper they found. To stay warm, they huddle close, holding each other. A few hours later, someone knocks on the car window. It's a police officer, asking what they're doing there. She explains that a man ran them off the road. The officer assumes they're just a couple making out and says he'll let them go with a fine. The girl thinks this is a setup, that the officer and the other driver are trying to scam them. She even tries to bribe him, but he refuses the money. He tells her this stretch of road is dangerous and that young people often crash here. Then his demeanor shifts. He suddenly shouts that she's not going anywhere. The girl sees another figure up on the hill. The officer orders her into the car. She begs him to leave them alone, but he keeps approaching. Out of nowhere, the guy strikes the officer with a metal bar. Suddenly, they're back in the car, and the guy's hands are frozen to the metal. The girl tells him to warm his hands. He asks what happened, and she says one moment they were out there, and the next they were in the car again. The officer had vanished, like a ghost. He warms his hands on her belly as they talk about food to distract themselves. Curious, the girl asks what he bought at the gas station convenience store. She says she wants one last meal before they die. She starts crying, but the guy comforts her, saying morning will come soon, and someone will find them. The girl remembers she has some pills in her bag and goes to get them. While taping another newspaper over the window, she notices something disturbing, familiar faces in a photo. The article describes a deadly crash that happened on that same road back in 1963. A couple had died, along with a police officer. A group of priests was the first to arrive at the scene but couldn't help them. She says they need to take turns keeping watch. She volunteers to go first, telling him to get some sleep. After some time, the newspaper falls off the window again. The radio suddenly turns on by itself, and the officer breaks through the window. In a flashback, we see how the same officer had caused multiple accidents and kidnapped young women. The guy wakes up and sees the girl breathing heavily. He tries to wake her. The radio starts playing again, and a patrol car appears on the road. Cold air floods into the vehicle through the vents. To protect her, he blocks the vents with his body. About an hour later, the girl wakes up. They hear strange noises. The car begins to rock, making them anxious. The sound eventually fades, and the guy says they just need to stay inside until morning, that they'll be safe in the car. But 4 hours later, the guy's condition has worsened. He's clearly very sick. Still, he tries to keep her spirits up. She looks for pills to help him but instead finds a bottle of bloody urine. She asks if he was injured that badly in the crash. He admits he's been coughing up blood for a while and that he suffered internal injuries in the accident. She wants to go to the gas station for help, but he warns her it's too dangerous. Then she tells him about her new plan: to connect the car's phone to a nearby radio tower and call the police. Before she leaves, the guy says that if the afterlife just repeated itself over and over, he'd change only one thing. He'd walk up to her after class and simply say hi. She softly replies that would have been better. She kisses him and climbs the tower, managing to connect the phone and send a message to the rescue services. But the signal is weak, and she's unsure if it went through. She returns to the car, only to discover that he has died. As she drags his body out, she sees a car approaching. Panicked, she fears it might be the crazy officer again. But this time, rescue has finally arrived. As they drive, One of the rescuers tells her the story of that place. Years ago, a corrupt police officer stopped young travelers and murdered them. One day, he crashed his car and burned to death. Ever since, strange accidents have occurred there. A family was once found frozen to death, and the priests? They were discovered frozen in their beds. Suddenly, another car appears up ahead, and the radio starts playing the same eerie music. The girl realizes it's the same officer's vehicle. Though she and her rescuer survive the encounter, the guy wants to check if the other driver is okay. She warns him not to go, insisting the driver is already dead. But the other officer says they must still try to help. Then, the priests appear and rip the radio out of the old car. As they walk away, the spirit of the evil officer emerges, grabbing the rescuer and turning him into ice. The girl runs back to the car and tries to start it, but the officer catches up. Just then, her friend, now a ghost, appears from the woods and saves her. She wakes up in the car beside her friend's lifeless body. Morning has finally come. She sees his ghost standing nearby. He apologizes for leaving without saying goodbye. She also says sorry for leaving him alone. He assures her that everything will be okay and takes her into the woods. The girl walks through the snowy forest toward a gas station. Doctors and rescuers arrive and begin to treat her. She watches as her friend's body is taken away. She picks up her phone, looks at his photo, and the film ends, with her as the only survivor. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.